My name is Karen McMullen. I'm a programmer with the festival. This is easily one of my favorite films in the festival. I'd like to welcome to the stage the director, Linda Goldstein Knowlton. I would also like to invite up to the stage producer Katie Flint, also an editor Arielle Amsalem, and subjects Anyavette, Martinez, and Lupita Martinez. Yeah.
My people. Thanks.
Okay, so I have the regular questions, but I'm gonna not spend too much time because you guys really want to talk to these heroes and amazing women. The basic one I'd like to start with is just how you came to tell the story. You guys have gotten a lot of press, and rightly so, but how did you come to work together? What was your collaboration like?
Well, when the Radical, then Brownies, got all of that attention when they marched in the Black Lives Matter march, I saw that press. So I read an article online in The Guardian and just hounded them until I heard back. And then in terms of a collaboration, film to me is a collaborative art, especially documentary, all film. And we talked when I met with Anayvette and Marilyn when I flew up to Oakland. I just said, there are some films that it's okay for outsiders to make and some that are not, and it's obviously up to you because it's you. But I just felt that I could use my privilege of experience and this to help amplify their story. And they said, that's great. That's what a white ally can do. So, and Marilyn also said that it's very often that the work of women of color is invisible. And she said, yeah, you can do the work of documenting our work. So I was like, that's great. And then I called Katie, who we've worked together for a very long time on a bunch of films. And then, so it was going to be a year in the life, and it turned into 3.5 years. And during that time, Katie had a baby, I had cancer, we called Arielle, she came in to save the day. And so we all collaborated together.
It was a really wonderful piece, and I just thought, can we have another round of applause for it? I think this is really amazing, right? So with 3 years of footage and following you guys around, and you guys were so incredibly open and vulnerable. You can see the warmth that you guys had between each other and the trust. But that gives the editors a real hard job of what to put on the screen and what not to. Can you guys talk a little bit about
so many deleted scenes? I hope that they make it onto a website somewhere when this is released. But I mean, the girls are amazing, and every troop meeting was a gem, and there were so many, but we also wanted to tell the larger story of trying to expand this, because that's something that people keep asking is, why isn't it everywhere? And so it was hard. There's a lot of stuff that didn't make it, but it was really nice to see the girls grow through the experience and through the film, and to be able to highlight the challenges that an organization faces, because it's easy to say, oh, well, we'll just open lots of troops, but I think you see it's not so easy in practice. And I think that's something that people don't really see often is the struggle that happens behind the scenes of a lot of nonprofits. So.
And so Anyavette and Lupita, what was it like being followed for 3 years? Feel like celebrities?
Yeah, I think at first it was a little bit strange to have like a bunch of cameras in your face, but after a while we got really comfortable with having them there, and it was just kind of like, is the film crew coming today? You have to look cute and all that kind of stuff, but it kind of just became like a regular thing, and it was pretty much natural.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like at the beginning, it was a little strange. And then towards the end, like if the film crew wasn't there, the Monarchs were like, where's the film crew? I wear my good earrings today. Like, yeah.
On that note, can we see the nails, please, Lupita?
Oh, yeah.
With Frida.
Yeah. I got Frida on them,
I'm going to open it up to the audience. Does anyone have any questions, comments?
I love the film. I'm curious, originally was the Radical Brownies, and if there was any legal blowback from the Girl Scouts, and if that was something you wanted to. If not, even if there was that something that is a dicey question?
The question was, they were first called the Radical Brownies, and was there any blowback from the Girl Scouts around that?
Yes. So as soon as we got lots of media coverage, as soon as we landed on Fox News, we received an email from the Girl Scouts of America, and they were like, "Hey, we need to like have a conversation with you all." And I was terrified, and jumped on a call with their communications people, and they were actually really cool. They were just like, "Look, like, you know, looks like you guys have started something that's really important and needed in your community, and you're now causing like a bunch of brand confusion." They were getting inundated with phone calls from 2 different camps. One camp of like this is, you know, disgusting, like I'm not giving my money to this type of organization that's like, you know, raising these like socialist children, to like people being like, where can I find my local, you know, Radical Brownie troop? I want my kid in that troop. And so we, you know, stepped into some tricky legal stuff. And so they were kind of like, look, you know, we do own the word brownies as me and a group of girls. And so if you're going to use that, you're infringing upon our legal rights. So we did work with the pro bono lawyer. And we're kind of like, well, what do you think? Like, do we fight this? And they're like, look, they have much deeper pockets. You could fight it, but it's going to be a lot of time, a lot of resources. Why not just rename yourselves? And then that way you can also like make yourself more distinct from like from the Girl Scouts. So what was cool about that was that the Monarchs then got to choose their own name. So they brainstormed a bunch of different names and they got to vote. And so it was really powerful. They got to actually choose their ultimate name, Radical Monarchs.
That's great. Any other questions?
Was it surprising, like, when, like, you guys got, like, big? Like, when you guys got, like, a little bit, like, well-known?
Was it surprising that you got as big as you did?
Yes, like I said, I think that for me it was just kind of like a little group of friends, you know, that we're gonna do this like, you know, every Saturday, every once in a while. But when it kind of like became big, it was really crazy to me, really surreal. But it also really like helped us grow in a way. So I was also really grateful for that.
Other questions? This little girl right here.
How was it protesting when you're so little?
How was it protesting when you're so little? Good question.
For me, I think I really love being in the streets and doing protests and being at actions. And so I've always kind of been doing this kind of like activism work because there's other ways to show up besides protesting and going to actions. But this is kind of like my favorite thing to do when I was like younger and still now. So I think for me it was really important to do that. And I always feel like super happy and really excited about doing those kind of things.
Yeah. Marches are great community builders, you know, for the girls to get together. But we also have some monarchs who don't like to march and get really kind of like a lot of anxiety being around big crowds. And so we're always talking about like how there's always multiple ways to get involved and create change. So being in the streets is one way. We have others that like will help write scripts for when they go to city council meetings. There's all different types of ways that we nurture for monarchs to get involved and have their voice heard.
Any other questions? This little girl right here.
Yesterday we were just talking about bullying, and I didn't really know how to address her question. How do you handle that when the teachers and everyone else stigmatizes you as the loudmouth child who's just different from everyone else, who's the troublemaker? How do you handle conflicts within your own age group?
The question was around bullying and also not being supported by teachers who don't understand or empathize with. Right, the adults were supposed to support you.
Yeah, so prior to doing Radical Monarch work, Marilyn and I both worked a lot in schools and doing youth development work in nonprofits. And so a lot of the work we do is around like restorative practices, restorative justice, and what does that look like within like a racialized lens, right? Because what we saw was when there was a lot of like zero tolerance bullying measures that came out, it ended up really targeting, young kids of color, right? Specifically Black and brown girls or boys. And so when we would do trainings with school staff, PDs, we'd always talk about how do we separate bullying not as an identity, but as a behavior, right? And how do we just focus on the behavior, look underneath, like what is the root, what is causing the behavior versus labeling someone like a bully, which can be really harmful, right? So that's part of the work that we've done kind of in the background around bullying.
One else? You in the back? Yes.
What do you see yourself in the future?
Where do you see yourselves in the future? Is that for the organization or for Lupita? Okay.
I think that, so right now we recently just launched four new troops in the Bay Area, so that was something that's really exciting. I think that for me, like one of my biggest hopes for Radical Monarchs is for it to really expand so that, you know, we can get a troop here in New York and we could have a lot of different places where we have troops, so. Oh, for me personally, I would like to be involved in like politics. So either being an immigration lawyer is extremely like that's one of the things I've been thinking about, and also maybe being like a comedian because I feel like. Wait, let me tell you why. Because I think that comedy is it's a good way to like release joy because in this work there's a lot of like it can be a Debbie Downer sometimes, like we said, and so having that joy and having that laughter is also super important in this work. And I would like to kind of voice my opinions and perspectives through comedy. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I would like to do that.
Right there, right there.
I'd like to know what you and Marilyn did when that funding came through. How did you celebrate?
Thank you for that question, Liz. Oh my God. I mean, it was so surreal when we got that money. And I'll never forget when we picked up our first check. Lupita was in the car. I don't know if Diego was too. But we, so like the office is like in downtown Oakland. So Marilyn was like, I dropped her off. She was like, I'm gonna go upstairs and grab our checks. And I had like the car right. I felt like we had just like robbed the bank or something, even though it was like just our first like legit paycheck for Radical Monarchs. And I was blaring Drake, started from the bottom, now we're here. And she came down, I like turned up that music and we just danced and just like happy cried in the car. Like it was just like such a moment. Yeah. I know, but I told you later after the filming, Linda was really mad that she didn't get that she didn't get that moment on tape.
Okay, question in the corner.
How did you guys feel when you like collaborated with like other groups in making this film? Like, do you think it like made a big impact?
Like other nonprofits we worked with, or yeah, I think a lot of the work that Radical Monarchs does is in partnership and collaboration with other community organizations and community activists. I think that's really important. Marilyn and I aren't experts in everything, and so like when we did a badge, around radical coding, me and Marilyn were like, this is not our cup of tea, so we need to bring someone in here to like talk about what does radical coding look like, right? And so I think we've had really strong partnerships. We've partnered with, Black Girls Code for the radical coding badge, Outdoor Afro for the Pachamama Justice, environmental justice badge, and so even though her and I do have a lot of knowledge around a lot of things, we're not experts in everything. And so I think that I love that we get to partner in this work and bring in those experts, bring in those elders. It just kind of makes it much richer. So, yeah.
Okay, we have time for one more question. I'll let Lupita pick who she wants to ask.
No pressure. Yes, in the front.
Did Trump text you?
The question was, did Trump text her?
No.
Thank God, no. No, he did not. We just heard a lot of stuff coming in from Twitter, but no, he himself did not text us.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thanks to everyone at DACA NYC and all of you. And a couple of housekeeping things. So first of all, we're up for the audience award. So I'm just going to say, vote for us. Vote for us. High number. And then also, we'll have some exciting distribution news very soon. So if you go to our website and sign up for our newsletter, you'll find out about it. And then you can send all your friends and family information about more festivals, because we have a lot more screenings coming up. And we're also, our website is a big, long name. So if you just Google We Are The Radical Monarchs, you'll find us, because it's a boring name. Sorry. And then we're also on all the social media, and Radical Monarchs are on social media, and sign up for all of us, because that actually also helps us with more distribution. The more activity there is, it actually matters. So thank you so much. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much for coming.